Welcome back! Instead of using the Python open function alone, professionals would rather combine it with the with statement. That option allows us to work with our data more quickly and intuitively. Consider source.txt as the text file to work on. It contains the following text. This is the simplest plain text file. So, as we go back to our Jupyter Notebook document, we can run this code cell to assign the relevant string name to a file object called filename. Now, look at the next 3 lines of code. The first one assigns the output obtained by the open function with a read mode to a variable called file. The second one practically assigns the content of the source file as a string to a new variable called text. The last line closes the file. What we'd like to share with you is that executing these 3 lines of code would deliver the same result as the following 2. With open file name in read mode as outfile, outfile dot read parentheses. Let us make a couple of notes before we explain how the structure works. In general, please don't forget that if you used RT for R as a choice for the mode in which to open the file, you would obtain an identical outcome. Then, we call the new file outfile, which stands for output file, as in output of the execution of the given with statement. That object is actually the opened file we're going to work on. Hence, we could have called it open file or file object. However, since we prefer to stick to the most frequently used name in the literature, we choose to call it outfile. So, what the with statement structure is characterized by is that no output will be obtained after its execution. The reason is that after applying the designated operation, the file closes automatically, as opposed to using the Python open function alone, where closing the file object had to be manually specified on row 3. As discussed in the previous lecture, this is a much safer alternative. Once the operation is done, the connection with your file system is automatically closed, and you don't need to worry about security. Now, run the 2 code cells we just discussed. Since they lead to no directly visible output, let's print out the text and outfile variables. The text variable holds the content of the source text file, while the outfile is empty. Interesting. It turns out that if we want to be in control of the state of our original text file, and make sure that we will always close the connection between Python and the directories of our computers, it is more efficient to opt for using the with statement. Don't you agree? Now that we've established that, let's see what else we can do involving the with statement. This time, though, we could try out the W mode. It stands for write. Thus, we indicate we intend to write some information on the text file itself. In other words, we want to use the file object to manipulate the contents of the text file. To achieve that, we have to apply the write method, indicating within parentheses the text string we want to write on the file. Please note that this will remove all of the information that has been previously stored in source.txt. Let's say we'd like to have the string, "It is not so simple anymore," so we are ready to run this cell and examine the outcome. As expected, there's no visible result in Jupyter. Instead, we obtain a wrapper object for the output file variable as we print it. But we know that we've written some content on the original file, which was then closed automatically. So, regardless if we use the 3-line code to read the source file or open the file from Windows Explorer, we'll see its content has been overwritten. It now says, "It is not so simple anymore." In fact, there is also a way to display the contents of the source file through the with statement. We can build on the 2-line with statement in the default open for reading mode. Then, we'll store the output of the read method in a separate variable called new text. Finally, we can print out the context of new text to obtain "It is not so simple anymore" once again. Thus, we managed to successfully modify the content of the source file and have also closed it by using the with statement structure. Nice! To conclude, please remember that the open function and the with statement are both handled natively in Python, so you don't need to install any other modules to use them. Second, taking all related features of the 2 techniques into account, professionals would open a file with the with statement rather than without it. Finally, be very careful when using the write mode. As you just saw, you may risk losing the initial content of your text file. Of course, there are ways to make sure you will avoid the cost of data loss. We'll show you how to do this in the next few lectures and throughout the course. Catch you later.